Nice to see you all. Oh, lovely list of names. How wonderful. Thank you on this rainy Friday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. So lots of you know me. I'm Hilary Cook from MIDAS and introducing Mary Jane Flanagan from mjinspire. So we've got a great afternoon for you. We've got Chris on the call as well to help us with all things technical. So we are recording this. If you're happy with that, it will be recorded and available on the Master Innholders YouTube channel as of Monday. Any questions? We're really happy to field questions, love having questions. So please do ask some questions, put them in the question box, and we'll pick those up as MJ gets to the end of each section. And yeah, any questions at all or comments? Chris is going to put the links in for the podcast and the video and the other things that we've done that go with this month's production for MIDAS. So welcome to MIDAS and welcome MJ. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this for us. So you take it away from here. They're all yours, all these lovely people, they're all yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Hilary, and thank you, Chris. Really looking forward to talking to you and hopefully helping you find yours and help others find their mojo. So for those of you that don't know me, I run mjinspire, caterer through and through. It's in my soul, it's in my heart, and I miss you all desperately, I have to tell you. But let's get moving to the good stuff, shall we? So what are we going to do? We're going to change pages. So what we're going to do is, I really want to give you some really practical tools to help you find your motivation, whether that is getting a job or coming back to a job or helping others do it or just getting things done. Now, in order to help you do that, what I thought I'd do is just share some real basic scientific principles that could help you. Now, this does work alongside Chris and Hilary's fantastic video on motivation. And can I recommend you watch it? You will not be disappointed. So, how are you feeling? What I want you to do is, a piece of paper handy, I want you to just write down at the top of the page how you're feeling right now. And at the end of this, we're going to do that again. And in between, we'll give you lots of tips and techniques to help build that motivation or confidence or mojo or energy as we start to move forward. Now, we know it's a strange old time at the moment, and it looks like there are some lights at the end of the tunnel. I know that I've had my first jab, which is very exciting, and looking forward to getting my second one and getting out and about. But I also know how scary that can feel for people, and certainly for myself, how I'm going to get used to that again. Just one really big example is I've been sat in front of a computer for a year wearing trainers. So one of the very first things I've had to do is start wearing shoes again. So I've actually got my gorgeous leopard skin boots on today. And this is my first tip. We are going to talk about micro steps. We're going to talk about small habits, small steps that you can build to help your motivation and others' motivations. So I'm now putting on shoes every day so I can get used to wearing them again. So that when I have to go back and do a 12-hour day in them, it's not going to crucify me. So micro steps has been talked about by Arianna Huffington in her book Thrive, and it was actually released today, but I managed to get a pre-copy. And it's these little changes that you can do that will make a big impact on you your teams, your friends, your families' lives. So at each section here, we're going to talk about some of those micro steps that you might be able to take. So underneath that word that you've written, what I'd like you to do is maybe just write 1 or 2 words that make what you've written come real. Why do you feel like you're feeling at the moment? Maybe it's because it's pouring with rain outside. Because then we're going to come back and you're going to compare some of these steps to that. So I love this. Principles of success. I've used this in my own life for forever. I've been training for 20 years. I've been in hospitality for more years than I'd like to say. And I thought this would be a great model for us to use for motivation. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through each section of this. And we're going to talk about the links back to motivation and motivational theories and how it impacts us personally and our teams and those around us. So in essence, what it says is in order for us to succeed, we need to find the combination of focus, goals, language, what we're saying to ourselves and others, and to be in the right state to succeed, like being able to wear high heel boots for 12 hours a day. And there's lots of research to back this up. So let's start at the beginning with focus. What are you focusing on at the moment? Now, when you watch the video that Chris and Hilary made, one of the people that they're going to talk about is, well, people, Lockett and Latham and their 1990 theory around goals, task, and performance. And in essence, what it says is, if you set a goal, and you tell others too, you are 45% at least more likely to achieve it. We know that goals produce performance. So, but sometimes goals at the moment can seem so big. Now, I know that there will be people out there that are having to find a new role. And that goal of, I'll get up tomorrow and I'll get a new job, is just fast. It's mind blowing. And I get that. So this is where the micro steps come in. Because instead of saying, tomorrow I'll get a job, we say, tomorrow I will update my CV and start networking. And then the next day, I will contact 3 people and network with them. Perhaps you're getting ready to go back to work. And for some of us, that thought of going back to work after a year, I don't know about you, but I won't remember where the cups are in the pantry. And I'm quite nervous about meeting people face to face again and the journey. And will I remember how to do my job? And that's vast. That's a huge goal. Tomorrow I'll be ready to go back to work. That blows my mind. That frightens the life out of me. But what I can do is put micro steps in to help me be ready for work. So I might venture out a bit further, do longer walks so I can build my energy up. Start to look at some of the manuals, some of the job tasks that I used to do. I might, and even when I'm allowed to, do a journey to work before I actually have to start doing it, just to get used to getting on the train again. And all of these are going to build my confidence so that when I do go back, it's not so huge. It's, you know, oh my God, this is scary. So what I'm going to recommend is that we think about the goals that we're going to set ourselves, but then also any of you that have a team, what goals are you going to start to set yourself as a leader to help your teams come back to work? And for those that have been holding the fort for so long, what goals are you going to set to help them sort of get this new world where everybody's coming in? And what helps me is to get a big piece of paper and start to write down small steps of what I might need to do to help people. So for example, I'm running some sessions on finding your vigor and passion through confidence for a friend. So that could be an example of that. Starting to ramp up how much you contact people. Now, even if they're on furlough and they can't work, they are allowed to train if they want to, and they're allowed to make contact if they want to. So think about those people that you haven't spoken to for a while. Do you need to check in with them, see how they are? So small micro steps. Now, it might be if you're looking for a job, go on the Job Seekers Toolkit on my website. It's totally free, and it will give you lots of tools on networking, running your, so I was just looking at the chat there, how to get your mojo back, how to write a CV, the food service circle, caterer, hospitality action, all of them have got tools to help you. And also they have confidence tools on there as well. Now, if it's about going back to work, or maybe you're going into a slightly different job, go on YouTube and have a look at our 3 questions in 3 minutes, where I've asked actually some of the people that are on this call today their advice. What advice would you give for inspiring people? What advice would you give for networking? So start slowly to just build your confidence again. Now, before I move on to the next section of focus, has anybody got any questions at this point? Chris, has anybody asked anything?
No, nothing in the chat or the Q&A at the moment.
Now, that's either great because I've explained it, or bad because it's boring. I'm going to go with the former for the moment.
The former, yeah.
So big message here is start to get yourself ready, warm up to succeed, set some goals. Now, what about state? Now, this is being ready to work, being ready to seek a job, being ready to lead. And that's about confidence. But also think about who's your support mechanism. Where are your cheerleaders? That's a great micro step. Contact your cheerleaders, talk through your goals, and they'll give you support. They'll be there sending you those texts when they need them, when you need them, and they need them too. So build your posse around you. But this is where we start to look at motivational theories and how they've impacted us during COVID. So the 2 that you can see on screen, good old Maslow, 1943, and Hertzberg, 1959, I'm going to say, come right. Both of them look at how people are motivated. And if you look at that podcast that Chris will, if he hasn't already, put in the chat for you, he'll put the link in and the video, it will explain these in more depth. But what I do want to say about them, if we think about Maslow at the beginning, is that in order to see that peak, that self-actualization, do you know what I call it? In the zone, when you're rocking and rolling, when you're really fulfilling not just your own achievements, but helping others do theirs. And the trick and the game is, as individuals, is to try and get that in as many areas of our life as we can, and as leaders, to help our teams achieve that in as many areas as they can. But it really starts with those basic needs, and you can't move up until you've fulfilled those needs. And it starts with physiology, you know, air to breathe, water to drink, food to eat. And we know that COVID has really hit that. We're not getting out as much. We maybe not be eating our favorite foods because we can't get hold of it. And those hugs, that those that know me know how much I love a hug, that touch, that contact, we're just not getting it at the moment. So, micro steps. Ariana Huffington says this in Thrive. Start by drinking more water. So I've got a glass of water next to me everywhere I am at the moment, so that I've always got my water bottle or my glass, so I make a point of drinking it. And every time I get up from the computer to go and get something, I've formed a habit that I'll take a slug of water. Now, what about that safety and security? We're all a bit scared at the moment, and I understand that. So think about what you need to feel safer. And think about what your teams need and your guests need to feel safer. You know, put your hand up for that COVID training. And if you need to retake it because you've forgotten it, because we've gone into another lockdown, refresh yourself on it. And something that I've done is, because I absolutely hate the smell of hand gel because it's so chemical, I asked for some beautiful hand cream in a little tube for my husband for my birthday, and it smells gorgeous. And so whenever I use sanitizer, I always put this gorgeous hand cream on, and I'll show you in a minute why that's really helpful. And it smells great and it makes me feel good. And so I'm relating now that safety to something that makes me feel good. That love and belonging is a big one here. It's not just the feeling of love and team, and we've missed that desperately, but this is also about how we can contribute to the bigger picture. So team leaders, managers out there, remember about involving your team in the bigger picture, in ideas, let them know their contribution. But also as teammates, as friends, and as colleagues, don't forget to remind each other just what you're doing for each other. That thanking is so big. And what I've discovered is the more I send little notes to people telling them what they mean to me, the better I feel. That theme is then about building our confidence back. And I think there's going to be a lot of building of that at the moment. I'm being told that people aren't feeling as great as they have been in previous years because of this loss of confidence. So use these micro steps to start rebuilding your confidence and rebuilding your achievement. And you know what? It's really good to challenge ourselves sometimes and take a risk. Now, it's really hard for us to do this, but we're going to try. You can't see me, but we're going to give it a go. All right. Now, when you hear the recording of this, it may be easier. But what I want everybody to do is I want everybody to stand up. And I want you to put your hand out in front of you, your arm. And then still facing the front, I want you to move your arm as far round as you can, still facing the front. Right, now you've done that, I want you to take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, I want you to move it a little bit more. Now, go into chat if anybody did it, and did you find yourself moving your arm just that little bit more when you breathed out again. It's called the extra 10%. I know for sure that we are all capable of more than we realize. And that activity I just showed you, it's a great one to do with our teams when we go back. I think I dislocated it. Thanks, James. Now, Hertzberg, hygiene factors, dissatisfiers, not motivators. Now, what this means is we need some really basic things in place just for us to be able to be satisfied with our role, let alone motivated. Now, some of those things you will not have control over. But what you do have control over is relationship with others, the quality of the supervision, and think about what you can do to make your own, your teams, your friends, your colleagues' lives easier at work. Now, I wish it was as simple as just moving up these, but you move, they interact with each other, you move up and down them. And again, I cannot recommend Chris and Hillary's video highly enough, but please watch it, it's superb. But what I would say is, think about what you need to get in the zone. Now, oh, I'm going to go down the other side. There is a hormone factor in this because what we've discovered is that we have been losing a lot of those feel-good hormones because they're given to us in a number of ways. So, for example, that dopamine, that reward chemical, you know, that allows us to be motivated, you know, we get that from achieving things, from goals. And if we're not given the opportunity to achieve those goals, we won't get that reward chemical, which makes us feel even less confident. That's why those goals are so important. But if you start small, you'll achieve more and it'll spur you on to do some more. Also, exercise can really help with dopamine. And actually, couch to 5K, not everybody can do it. I'm not a great runner, so I'm walk to do most things. But just those small little things to get us achieving just that little bit more. Also, creativity can help us get that dopamine. So, when was the last time you drew a picture? You're any good at it? I'm useless, but I still draw them. That oxytocin, that one that gives us trust and sustains relationships, that's the one we get from the hug and the touch and the person walking past us and the smile. Boy, are we missing that at the moment. So again, some of the things that you can do to get that back is exercise, music, talking to a friend. And are you ready for this one? Cold showers. Yes, I know I said it. And I've got to the stage where I can turn my shower to cold and I sort of move out a bit and keep my foot in it. Do any of you, put it in chat, have any of you doing the whole cold shower shock syndrome? It's a bit scary and I'm not doing it brilliantly at the moment. Hi, Anita. Oh, hello. But my goodness me, it's helping me. No, I know exactly what you mean. A friend of mine's going cold water swimming. Now, that's serotonin. Again, those hormones. Now here, this is about our feeling of importance with our peers, with others. And the thing about our serotonin is that what helps us there is light, is sunlight that we're not getting a lot of at the moment. So if the sun is shining, even for a minute, stick your head out the window, go for a walk. Now, vitamin D can really, really help. I'm a huge fan of vitamin D here. Now, here's the good one. Endorphins, the runner's high from somebody that doesn't run. guess what also gives it to you? Are you ready? Chocolate and spicy food. So there's a micro step for your endorphins. Have a curry. And I'm giving you permission to have a chocolate button. Now, we're actually going to post a much bigger version of this for you so that you can see some of the tools in more detail. What I am saying here is that COVID has really affected our well-being in a number of ways. But there are things and steps that we can put in place now that will build our hormones, our resilience, and therefore start to rebuild our confidence and our esteem and our well-being. That makes me Mr. Endorphin. So I'm going to go on again. There we go. Right now, I love this. You know, I kept telling you about music. Well, this is the most brilliant tool and micro step. So that blue circle circles what we call the amygdala. It's the emotional filter regulator in our brain. It's actually the one that also activates our fight, flight, or free mechanism. But it's very, very close to our smell sensors and our hearing sensors. So have any of you ever smelt something that brought back such a vivid memory and made you feel great? Whenever I smell anybody wearing my sister's perfume, it always puts a smile on my face. So one of the micro steps that I've been doing is I wear the perfume that I wear for work. And you know what? It gives me a boost because it puts me in that work mode. And that perfume is the perfume my mother used to wear when she was alive. And it reminds me of her. Now, the auditory, that's sound. And music, it's Chanel. Probably asked what perfume I'm wearing. Now, auditory is sound. And we know that there is a direct link between sound and mood. So yes, I've got a new playlist. And it's my getting ready to rock and roll playlist. And it has everything from I've Got a Feeling to I See Your Baby, Shaking That, and records like that. And I play it very loud in my office shed and I dance. And boy, do I feel good. So I have my playlist for when I'm going to work and I start going to work. Now, I spoke to somebody today that says they have playlists and they've recorded or put records on there from when they achieved something. And it reminds them of when they achieved something and it builds their confidence. So if anybody wants to put into chat, what is your feel-good record? What are you going to put on your playlist? And that's another micro step. Build your playlist. Come on then, I want to see some records from you. And while we're here, it's a good time to stop. Any questions, Chris?
No, we've got lots of people having cold showers, but no.
Lots of people having cold showers.
No questions.
Get back up again. Okay. Oh, single women. Absolutely. Bohemian Rhapsody always does the trick. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Titanium, Sia. Shoot me down, I won't fall. I am titanium. Brilliant. So what we're doing here is we're using our brain mechanisms and our hormones to help counteract some of those motivational factors that we've lost over COVID. Now, if you're managing teams, think about your music playlist. Think about that music that you could put on before people start a shift. Think about some of the smells that we could do to boost people to get the energy. So last one on state before we move to language is breathing and the power of breathing and slowing down. And I'm a huge fan of this because what I've discovered is when I become overwhelmed, when it all feels a bit too much for me and I want to cry, and I do sometimes, I'm sure we've all been there, I stop and I slow right down and I moderate my breathing. So all I do is focus on breathing in and breathing out. And it lowers my heart rate, which in turn lowers my anxiety. I'm not a brilliant meditator because what happens to me is I congratulate myself all the way through it that I'm meditating, which doesn't really work. But I can focus on my breathing, which somehow really calms me. And I think as we start to ramp up and hopefully things open up and will continue to open up, that these breathing techniques will be so powerful for us. Now, back in the day, I'm very old, we used to give people cigarette breaks, but people don't really smoke as much as they used to. But there is something about an oxygen and breathing break, and leaders and team leaders and managers is allowing people the time to go outside and breathe and just calm themselves. Now, I know that some of you experience some pretty awful behavior at times from guests that were less than respectful, and you may be concerned that that behavior may come back. What I know is that breathing has really, really helped me with that. And I'm going to give you another tip, and it's a bit naughty. And it is my views and not the views of the BBC or anybody else. And now Wallace and Hilary are taking a deep breath here. If somebody's really rude to me, I look at them and I think, at least I don't have to sleep with you. And for the last 35 years, that has really helped me. I never say it out loud, but it keeps me calm enough to be able to deal with it. And that's where we really support each other too. So let's move away from state and talk about, I keep moving it the wrong way round, language. This is huge, 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 ginormous. What we say to ourselves is enormous. And so I have my phrase that I use, which is simply, you've got this, MJ. You can do this, MJ. And I say it, and I say it often. And I don't care if my husband's watching me thinking, oh God, she's on one today. So think about what you can say to yourself. I'm going to give you another word, and it's called yet. I can't do that. No, 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 no. I can't do that yet. I'll try. I'll start. Now, I've got another one for you. Now, those of you that have seen me do some seminars recently will have heard me talk about the incredible goddess that is Mel Robbins. Go to her TED Talk. Chris might be able to find that for us and put it in the link. Life was going to, oh my God, her life was just out of control. She was a CNN reporter. She'd lost all confidence, all esteem. Her husband's restaurants were going bankrupt. She did not know what to do next. And so she just couldn't move. And she just lay on the sofa all day. She had 2 kids and it was awful. She knew what she had to do, but she didn't do it. And if you watch the video that Hilary and Chris have made about the scarf model, David Rocks, brilliant also. What happens is we want to stay safe, secure, and under the covers. And you know, we don't want to get out there and take those risks. It's scary. Well, that's what she was feeling. And she saw a rocket take off. And on television, it was a satellite. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom. And she thought, what if I did that in my own life? So the next morning, she set the alarm early. It went off, and she went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, feet out of bed. Instead of putting her gym jams on, she put on her tracksuit bottoms before she could talk herself out of it. She walked out the door before she could talk herself out of it. She went for a run before she could talk herself out of it. She called the bankers before she could talk herself out of it. Oh, by the way, did I tell you she's a multimillionaire-esque author now? Probably not, but she is. And it started with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. She has found the science behind it. And it's basically that if you do it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it's before the voices kick in. The voices that say, don't do it, don't go there, you'll look a fool, they won't like it. Just start. So that's another tool. It's brilliant for confidence. Just open that door and walk in. Just introduce yourself. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, send that CV off. Now, I'm reading Arianna Huffingham at the moment and those micro tips that she's got, and I will post those on social media. So please follow me at mjinspire, Twitter, Instagram, I'm all over the place. And I will continue to post some of the steps that she says. Very successful businesswoman, worked herself to the ground, collapsed and found herself in a pool of blood, and realized it was because she'd basically broken herself, because she just was working so much and not sleeping and not taking care of herself. So she set up Thrive Global to help people help themselves. And there's lots of tips and tools in there on sleep and well-being and mental health and getting started and achieving. You don't need to buy the book. You can, it's a great book if you want to, but she's all over social media. So follow them, follow Thrive Global. They have some great tools that you can use. Now, some of those tools that she uses, I recommend team leaders, managers, that you use them in team briefs. Think about what you could do every day as your teams start to come back to help boost their morale, to help boost their energy. And think about what you can say to others, all of you, to help boost them. One of the simplest single boosts that you could do for somebody is to say, thank you. I really, really appreciate you. So, language, breathing. I keep moving backwards. The language of achievement, the language of care. Think about those micro steps that you can do. And I've put lots of different ones on screen there for you. And there's not on that screen, but one of the first micro steps you could do is to take a look at and listen to some of the podcasts that Chris and Hilary have been making around MIDAS, because they are brilliant as well. So start small. Think about what you need. Think about what your friends and your team needs. Think about what your colleagues need, and think about, as leaders, what you can do for others. So just have a look at this screen a minute, and in chat, tell me which of these you would do. Tell me which of these, or based on something else I've said, would be your first micro step. I'm going to start by saying I'm going to drink more water and stop eating so many chips. So that's what I'm going to do. So what are you going to do? Chris, what are people saying?
We're getting a few coming in. Stop thinking plans, stretching regularly, ask for feedback. We've also got a question in here as well. I don't know if you want that now.
I
or
can
you want to
see it. Ah, love this. So what do you think of the flip it philosophy? Turn negative thoughts and worries into positive ones. Now, Michael Heppel, the god that wrote 5-star service, 3-star budget, that wrote How to Be Brilliant, also wrote the book Brilliant, Flip It. I am a huge fan of the flip it philosophy. And I actually live my life by it, no word of a lie. So an example of that is, if something goes wrong in my day, because this is the real world, like I missed the train, instead of getting angry, so I'm just gonna drink some orange, I say, okay, that's the first thing that's going to go wrong out the way. I'll just wait for the other two, get those out the way, and then I'm going to have a brilliant day. And then what will happen? I'll go, great, that's that one done. Now the next, right, that one's done. Now I'm going to have the most brilliant day. And ever since I started doing that, which was about 2 years ago, I sort of had a bit of a transformation, because rather than get really, I'm not saying bad things don't happen. Sorry. Hay fever. They do to me, you know, and others. And I'm not making light of those in any shape or form. Please understand that I'm not. But what I'm able to do is put it into perspective and then think, right, what am I going to do to turn this around? What can I do to make this better? We can't change what's already happened. We can only change what happens next. So rather than dwell on the negative, I dwell on the solution. Have we got any more questions from anybody at the moment? Because if not, I'm gonna keep going for a little while, if that's okay. But I'm conscious that I really want this to be focused on you and what you might need. Okay, then I'm going to keep going. Now, Jane, do you know what? My husband has just brought me in a glass of rosé for when we finish. Now, it might be a bit early, but it is Friday, so I'm going to accept that glass of rosé. Okay, somebody's just asked me about breathing techniques, and there are several that you could look at. Number one, Breen Brown. Chris, you might want to put a link to her TED Talk. She is also the first TED Talker to have her own Netflix program. Breen Brown, she's called. And I'll put her name in. Now, in her book, she talks about how she uses quadrant breathing that she learned from the Marines, which is you breathe in one breath, count of 4, you hold for the count of 4, you breathe out for the count of 4, you wait for the count of 4. And I use that one quite a lot, but actually somebody's taught me another one. It's similar, and that is that you start with 1, count of 1, then you move to 2, then you move to 3, and you actually go up to 7. And that allows you to get used to moderating your breathing. So that's a really good technique that I've seen that people use. We know that it's supercharged when you're in fresh air because it helps to clear your brain as well. So either quadrant breathing, or it's the same quadrant, but you count first lot of breaths are 1, second lot of breaths are 2. Also, if you can stretch while you're doing that, and all of us, I'm afraid, have been stuck in front of televisions and screens. So I want you all to roll your shoulders for me really deeply and stretch those arms out. Now stretch them up. And you can tell I'm doing it by the sound of my voice. Along, you know, we should be doing that, never in front of guests, but regularly, because that's also going to help. Now, Jess Oliver has asked what the key motivational tip to use when motivating a team through difficult times. Well, number one, first and foremost, the motivational theories that you've heard, and as I say, there are even more if you were to see the videos, they are great, and it's good to know those. And Master Holder Marty has also like to answer this question, so I've just seen that, so I'm going to get you to jump in. But also really understand what makes them tick. It is about the individual as well. And there's a gentleman called Adrian Gostick that wrote the book, The Carrot Principle, that talks about the power of the individual and motivating the individuals. So talk to your people, find out how they're feeling, find out what they need from you. Chris or Hilary, would you add to that?
Yeah, which in terms of motivating
The motivation,
your
yes.
team. I mean, yeah, I mean, we had, I think particularly the podcast. I think have I seen Catherine on the participants? I think we, yeah, the podcast in particular, we had some really good discussion around how to motivate your team, and I think it's a tricky one because I think it's, you know, can you motivate other people, or can you build an environment where people can be motivated? I think, and I think one thing that I really got from the discussion with Catherine was that fundamentally people like to be included and be part of a team. So I think if there's one thing right now in terms of uncertainty and, you know, not people working from home and all this sort of stuff, I think just including people in decision making, in just updating, just be compassionate and just talk and communicate, I think is a really positive one. And then I think definitely this whole piece, MJ, that you've been talking around in terms of the short-term goals, I think that's also important for not only yourself but also for the people around you. So you know, I think as an industry we like lots of longer term goals ordinarily. What are your KPIs for the year, you know, that sort of thing, but actually
break it down.
Can you break it down into what's your one objective for this week, or what's your, you know, your 3 objectives for this month or whatever,
and celebrate those achievements. And there is something about somebody saying to you, you did it, well done, you were noticed, I heard you, I saw you, and I value you. And at the moment, I think we're all feeling a little bit invisible. So noticing people. A really small and very personal one for me is that my son is called James. And when anybody asks me how my son is, if they say, how's James? You had me at hello. And because it puts the biggest smile on my face, no matter how bad my day is, when I think about my son, I smile. And that glass of rose I'm going to have when this is over, that helps me as well. Okay, everybody, what I hope I've done here is given you some really, really useful tips. We will post some things online for you to build on this. And that last slide where we showed those micro steps. We'll actually post that as a diagram. You could put it on, download it and put it on the notice board at work or in your office. The very last thing I will say is the biggest motivator for me, other than my son, is that behind me is a wall of achievement. And I have a whole wall of thank yous and letters and cards from people. And that really, really boosts me when the going gets tough. And were I to be going back to a group environment and not my own office, I would build that somewhere back of house and get everybody to contribute to it. Some motivational phrases and some caring thoughts so that people could stand in front of there when the going gets tough and remind you that you've got this and you most definitely can do it. So I'm going to come off the stop sharing and say, any more questions or any comments?
None coming through. Thank you, MJ. Thank you very much for that. That was fun. Oh, cheers. Enjoy that. Was Spring Angel, is it?
I can't afford it at the moment, but I'm looking forward to the bottle I'm going to have at some point.
Good for you. Thank you very much. Well, you've earned that. Thank you so much, MJ. That was brilliant. I was taken by the question from Jess of give me one tip. And Jess, if you're still out there, I wouldn't go with just one tip, because if you're not careful, one tip will look like a hammer, and when you've got one tip, everything's going to look like a nail. So just treat people as individuals. Look and listen a lot more than you talk. Just look and listen, see what you can see what you can hear about people around you, because that's what makes you different, and that's what will tune you into not so much one tip that motivates, because different things motivate different people. So one tip isn't really helpful because it's not a one size fits all, but just practice, experiment and test. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And enjoy being back. Enjoy being back at work. Enjoy being there. Because in the next few weeks, enjoy it.
And take care of yourself, because it's going to use different energies that we haven't been using up until now. Yeah, I'm just looking at all the comments. They're great.
Yeah, no, it's lovely. Yeah, I think we've all got a bit of stamina building to do as we get back. I know I have the stamina to stay with it for a whole day. Anyway, we'll get there. Human beings are amazing creations. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to MJ very, very much for giving up your time for us today. Really. So next month we have a masterclass with the lady who made us the podcast this month. So listen to the podcast, and then Dr. Catherine Bond is joining us. I know you're in the crowd there somewhere, Catherine. So thank you so much for everything that you've contributed to us, and we really look forward to next month as well. And we've got the podcast with the two Olympic silver medalists. I can never say this. Black and Backley. Sorry, it's a good job they're not appearing on Beaten, not Battered, not Beaten. Otherwise, I'd be in all sorts of trouble. So yeah, we've got some cracking things coming on next month. A lot will happen in April for us, especially if you've got outdoor hospitality opening up, and we're getting closer and closer to the countdown for all of us opening up on the 17th of May. So good luck, good planning, and once again, MJ, thank you very much.
And one last thing, look at that piece of paper in front of you. Look at that word at the top. What are you going to write now? And has it changed? And hopefully it has. As my husband writes, I'm still miserable.
Brilliant. So we've got some great things coming in. Lovely, thanks and everything. Okay, guys. So we'll see you all next month. If you need anything, want anything, catch us on the LinkedIn channel, on the LinkedIn group. Please join us. Anything you want, just let us know, and we'll see you next month. Okay, bye for now.
Thank you. Oh, these are great.